So this is the Working on the Farm, What You Need to Know panel. And I wanted to let you know that the format that we're going to do is similar to what we just did, although I think I'm going to try to let people have more time for asking questions. So as I'm sure many of you are aware, between 2002 and 2007, the number of farmers over age 75 grew 20%, and the number of farmers under age 25 fell by 30%. And the median age of U.S. farmers increased from 55.3 to 57.1. So as someone who likes to eat on a regular basis, I am quite concerned that fewer than 2% of our citizens are now growing our food. But I'm very excited also that there are some hopeful signs that may be changing. And I think one of those hopeful signs is this panel. So I think that the fact that according to the USDA, only 1.2% of Washtenaw County's cropland is in vegetables, and that 59.5% of our cropland is in corn, soy, and wheat, tells us that there's a little bit of disparity there. But the vegetable cropland, I understand, produces $2,004 per acre versus the corn, soy, and wheat cropland, which returns $326 an acre. So I hope that those numbers might mean that we'll have more farmers growing our food in the future. So I'm very excited and grateful to be able to introduce people with a wide range of experience in doing just that, and who are going to talk about what you might need to know when you're thinking about working on a farm and going into a life with farming at the center. So at the far end of our table is Dan Baer, and he is at the farm at St. Joseph Mercy Hospital, which just started. We were trying to figure out how many years each person has been at their farm, and Dan said he had been there 0.03 years. Next to Dan is Jennifer Kangas, who runs Capella Farm. This is their second year as a CSA, and she's been there for 7 years. Next to Jennifer is Norris Stevens of Good Medicine Farm in Milan. He has been there 34 years and has been farming it as a full-time job since the mid-1980s. And a late entry, this is not Alexis sitting next to Norris, it's David Klingenberger of Tantre Farm, and a new business that he's just started called The Brinery. And he's been with Tantre since 1997. And The Brinery, somewhere in the neighborhood of 0.03 years. So welcome to all of you, and thank you so much for being on our panel. So I was telling people what some of the questions were that I had, and I let them pick out a couple of the ones that they like. So I think I'll start with this one, and start with maybe Dan, asking about who do you think is the farmer of the future, and what some of their skills or philosophy or expectations might be.
All right. Can you hear me? All right. Who is the farmer of the future? I guess I think the farmer of the future, I think there's kind of three main categories where we're going to see farmers of the future coming from. I think we're going to see people who didn't grow up on farms, who are fairly young in their 20s and 30s, who turn to agriculture maybe after college. And so I think that's one main category. I think the other farmers of the future are going to be retired people who just finished a career and they have some land. And I think the third people who are going to be farmers of the future are people who did grow up on farms, and maybe it's a conventional farm, maybe it's corn and soybeans or vegetables or whatever, and they're people who grew up on a farm and they're deciding they're going to innovate and be innovative and maybe go into a CSA model or do some sort of value added or get into organic or sustainable agriculture. I think those are kind of the three main categories of who the farmers of the future are, and I think these people are going to be in the city, and I think they're going to be in the country, and I think most importantly they're going to be in the suburbs. So that's where I think the farmers of the future are.
Other thoughts from our panel? Jennifer?
Yeah, I have I got into this after I had been working for quite some time, but I had always grown my own food, and so I thought I would take a chance and try to make money at it instead of giving most of it away, which I'm sure a lot of people in this room do. I find so many people just up in arms about, and rightfully so, about genetically modified food and feedlots and a lot of the processes in the way that our food is being raised and subsidized and artificially, at low prices, the Walmart type scenario. And so I think that what I see is people who are more activists that are really moving into the food and trying to take back control of the system. And so that's where I think the main, and so it's interesting when I go to some of these seminars, there's the Future Farmers of America and the young people who are real activists in the food system, and I think that's one. And then again, the retirees, I think, is another good one. And also the spread. We have our farm is just outside of Ann Arbor, and there's quite a few conventional farms around. And I'm so excited to see that there's a guy down the street who's always been doing conventional farming who's going to move into vegetables. And so it's cool because they're seeing that you can do it, and it takes a lot more work, it's a lot more labor, but they're doing it. So I think it'll be fun.
Do you have any thoughts, Nora?
I've been convinced recently in the last couple of years that a lot of our future farmers and people that are involved in agriculture and agricultural businesses are going to come from urban areas. I've been working with several groups in the Detroit area, the Greening of Detroit, DAN, Detroit Agricultural Network, that are involving a lot of people out of the local schools in these areas. Not only urban and some suburban areas have these community gardening projects going on, and I'm pretty sure there's a lot of government support. They're getting a lot of government support from the USDA and whatnot to start these different programs in the inner city. And I think these are the kind of people that are going to be, some of the leaders. Fortunately, I had a mentor, but that mentorship program is very slow. It doesn't cover a lot of ground. It doesn't cover. They get a lot of people involved. But a lot of these community gardening things is what they start with now. Getting kids to grow things. One of the groups that I work with grows produce, and they sell it at a local farmers market in Detroit. Not the Eastern market, that's a little bit more commercial, but there over the last 10 years, there have been such a great and increasing number of small farmers markets that it allows small growers like myself and people that do community gardening to have a place to sell their product, and that really encourages young people, I think, as far as it's something that they grew and are able to market it and receive the results financially also of their efforts. So I kind of work on an urban area with young people, and I have my own farm that I work with. Unfortunately, I can't afford. It's such a low-key operation, and I'm always having cash flow problems. I don't really afford to have people work for me there. They have to be all volunteers if you want to work on my farm. So I'm kind of working in two areas with recruitment.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to say anything about the Farmer of the Future, Dave?
The Farmer of the Future, I think they all spoke very well about that. And also, at the same parallel, I think there will be probably just, I can't even imagine, but I'll try to. It's also like maybe a cyborg, like tractor creature that is, as a parallel to what we're talking about here, there's going to be just who knows what kind of like futuristic Terminator type technology to grow and extract, nutrients from the soil or from growing mediums. So I'm sure that's going to be one type of farmer of the future as well.
The Borg?
Yeah, something like that.
I hope not. Next question, I was curious about, when you were getting started on this path of farming, did you make any rookie mistakes? And how would you advise people about those? So, are any of you willing to admit that you made a rookie mistake?
I mean, we're still so young. I'm
And
sure-
Jennifer, could you get a little bit closer?
Yeah,
People are having
said
trouble hearing.
I'm sure that I'm still making them, and yeah. But the advice that the last panel gave was good in terms of starting out small and growing and getting to know your members. And we're a CSA as well, so I can't say what my biggest mistake was yet. Maybe in 2 or 3 years I.
You'll know.
Well, I think when I first started in some years ago, and I thought if I grew a good product, the world would beat a path in my doorway to get this product. And I didn't realize that I would have to go out and push what I have to people in order to get them to buy the product so that I could have funds and to keep my operation going. I guess I was really idealistic in the beginning, and I didn't approach it in a more of a business-like manner. And I think that was one of the bigger mistakes that I made. Of course, I'm probably still making up, but maybe to a lesser extent now.
On that same topic, I've yet to own my own farm, or I don't know if I ever will, but I think one mistake I made and continue to make through my 20s was to just treat every day like an adventure and every season like have like seasonal ADD, and not to have like the little squirrel's nest of capital. And I made some money. It's really hard to make money as an itinerant farm laborer, but to maybe not think of the future and think, well, maybe one day I will like to start my own local foods business or have my own farm, and not put money away, and to maybe like really treat each farming opportunity I've had in the past decade as like a real learning experience, and really grab it and really learn all the ins and outs, but kind of just, so maybe that was a big mistake I had, was not to like have the structured notebook full of information, because I've been around people who have made the mistakes and who are, it's their farm and their investment, so they're the ones who have the risk, and you can learn a lot from being in that situation and being able to, not have all the debt and the investment.
I'd say rookie mistake, making lots of rookie mistakes right now also. Start in the fall, build your hoop house in the fall, not in the spring, so you can put your tomatoes in the ground last week and not in 3 weeks. Get familiar with your soil before you start breaking ground. Is a good thing to do. Get a soil test, check out and see if you have soil or gravelly bricks and other things. And I'd say, I don't know, I mean, this is personal for me, but I feel like as far as being a farm worker, and I've worked on lots of different farms in lots of different places around the state and region, I would say don't move away. Like, dig your heels in where you are. There's lots of good farms around where you are, where you're from. There's a lot of beautiful parts of the state and the country that might seem alluring, but there's a lot of great farms around here, and get a job at a farm around here and dig your heels in around this Ann Arbor community. I think it's a pretty cool place. So.
One other thing I thought about is that one thing that we did last year is we also raised turkeys on the side, and I bought a breed that I hadn't raised before, and I thought it looked cool, and it was a heritage breed and blah, 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 but it was not it was just something I didn't know, and it was not successful. The one breed that we bought that we had raised before was fine, and this other one, something was wrong with it. So grow something that you've grown before is something that's helpful